I'd been coming to that cabin for years. Quiet mornings, black coffee, the smell of pine, and a view worth every minute of the 30 years I'd spent building it. But lately, peace had a new name, paperwork, and its enforcer was Karen, the self-appointed queen of the HOA. At first, it was small things. Letters taped to my door. Unapproved gate structure. Unauthorized gravel color. The kind of nonsense people with too much time and too little purpose invent to feel powerful. I ignored them. Until one day she didn't just threaten my fence. She came after my life. That morning, I sat at the kitchen table, sipping black coffee and staring at the posts guarding my driveway. Steel inside, cedar outside. My quiet rebellion. Karen thought she was tightening the noose. What she didn't know was that every move she made only stepped her deeper into the trap I'd built with concrete, steel, and 30 years of engineering experience. But then she crossed a line no one crosses. It was Thursday when I found Susan, my wife, sitting at that same table, surrounded by termination letters. Her bookkeeping clients had dropped her. 20 years of trust and reputation, gone overnight. "She's not just going after you, Roy," Susan whispered, hands trembling. "She's destroying everything we built." The anger that hit me wasn't fire. It was ice and cold, calculated and silent. The kind of fury that doesn't shout. It plans. By afternoon, the bank called. My mortgage officer's tone was polite but final. Concerns about neighborhood safety. Possible property value impact. Translation: fix this or lose your home. Karen's campaign had spread everywhere. She'd turned whispers into weapons. Clients, lenders, insurance, all bending to her will. Susan looked at me through tears, exhausted. "If she takes my business and the bank pulls the loan, what's left?" I took her hand and said what I meant. "She's not taking anything else." That night I went back to the blueprints. The posts were ready. Rebar, cement, and quiet fury mixed in equal measure. Every swing of the hammer, every bolt tightened, every bag of concrete poured. It wasn't just construction. It was defiance. By Friday evening, my gate stood tall. On the surface, simple cedar boards. Beneath it, 3 feet of reinforced concrete, steel cores, and anchor bolts deep enough to survive a freight train. My friend Mike stopped by, eyes wide. "Roy," he said slowly, "you're building more than a gate." I smiled. "Just making sure it doesn't fall down." He chuckled nervously. "Karen's not going to like this." "She doesn't have to," I said. "She just has to hit it." And she would. Saturday morning came crisp and clear. The kind of air that makes you feel like destiny's watching. I tightened the last bolt, adjusted the cameras, and sat on the porch with my coffee. Karen's white Mercedes cruised by twice, slow, inspecting, calculating. She didn't know the game was already over. By Sunday, the neighborhood gathered for her big moment. Karen had called the media, Channel 7 News, the developer Tom Davidson, even the sheriff. It was a parade of arrogance rolling up to my property. Her plan was simple: film my final compliance, humiliate me publicly, and secure her reputation as Pine Valley's fearless leader. She climbed into her car, confident smile painted across her face, and said to the reporter, "We're finally resolving a long-standing issue." She revved the engine, lined up the gate, and hit the gas. 25 miles an hour of German arrogance met 3 feet of American engineering. The sound was glorious. Metal folding like paper, steam bursting skyward. The Mercedes died instantly. The gate didn't move an inch. Not one. Karen stumbled out, covered in airbag powder, stunned. The news crew caught everything in full HD. The impact, her face, the realization that she'd just destroyed her own car on live TV. Neighbors poured out of their homes like it was a parade. Phones recording. Mike stood beside me, grinning ear to ear. "Roy," he whispered, "you built a wall for the ages." Karen stood there babbling excuses to the cameras. Routine property demonstration gone wrong. Even Tom Davidson lost it. "Karen, you said this was handled." "You said he agreed to sell." The reporter's planned segment about community leadership suddenly turned into breaking news. HOA president destroys car in unlawful trespass incident. And then, through the chaos, a calm voice behind me said, "Mr. Roy?" I turned. A young man in a gray suit stepped forward, confident but polite. "I'm David," he said, "and I think it's time Aunt Karen faced consequences." "Aunt Karen," the crowd murmured. She froze. David handed me his card. Attorney at law, property rights specialist. He'd been the anonymous source helping me all along. The one feeding me intel, advising me how to document her violations. 5 years ago, he told me, Karen had destroyed his career during a family estate dispute, spreading lies that cost him his job, his fiancée, his reputation. So I started building my own case, he said, and today seemed like a good time to deliver it. That evening, the community center was packed. Cameras, neighbors, even the sheriff. David opened a box of files like a magician revealing his final trick. Emails, financial records, pressure campaigns. Proof that Karen had weaponized the HOA to drive families from their homes, then sold their properties for profit. One by one, names appeared. The Harris family, the Lees, the Johnsons. Victims of years of systematic harassment. When David read the last document in the financial fraud records, Karen went white. Sheriff Brooks didn't even hesitate. "Ma'am," he said, "you're under arrest for conspiracy, harassment, and abuse of authority." Her Miranda rights echoed through the hall like a hymn to justice. Within days, her license was suspended. Tom Davidson dropped every deal linked to her. The news footage went viral. HOA president destroys car while trespassing. 20 million views in a week. Memes everywhere. Karen became the internet's new cautionary tale. Her downfall was as thorough as it was poetic. Bankrupt, jobless, reputation in ashes. The woman who'd made a living destroying others finally learned what it felt like to lose everything. Meanwhile, Pine Valley changed. The HOA voted for full transparency, all meetings recorded, all violations independently verified. No more anonymous complaints. The community that had once feared Karen now worked together again, rebuilding trust, repairing damage, and laughing about the Great Gate incident. David opened his own law practice specializing in property rights and HOA abuse. Susan rebuilt her business. Clients returned, apologized, and sent referrals. She was busier than ever, and me, I finally got my peace back. 6 months later, a young family moved into Karen's old house, bright-eyed, hopeful, waving as they passed my driveway. They never knew the story behind the gate. Susan installed a bronze plaque on it that reads, "Private Property, Engineering Triumph 2024. Simple, honest." A reminder that patience and preparation beat arrogance every single time. Now every morning, I sit on that porch with my coffee, looking at that gate, still standing, still perfect, and I smile. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't shouting or fighting back. It's standing firm, letting physics and truth do the talking. And as for Karen, well, she drives the long way around these days. Funny how physics teaches respect better than any HOA regulation ever could. You've been listening to Echo Stories, where every tale echoes with justice, truth, and just the right amount of perfectly legal revenge. If this story made you smile, hit that like button and remember, the strongest walls aren't built of concrete. They're built of patience, purpose, and peace.